Hey, greetings, welcome to Performance Reviews, where I give you reviews and tutorials from the technician's point of view. And today we have a Miele H1 Quick Step, also known as an S194. This one is. They've been making this stick vacuum forever, basically, so I had to check. And now let's get to the basis of the unit. You notice the motor is particularly large on this. This is exactly the same motor you find in the other Miele upright, the U1 upright, or S7. So that's kind of cool. They also use this motor in some of the other Mieles. I can't think of the model number right now, but trust me, they've used it in some of the other Mieles. So let's pull all this out now that I've removed those screws. This again should all just slide out. And we got the motor. Let's grab the speed control stuff here in a second. Oh, all this just clips in and out if I would do it right. Let me struggle here for a second. Oh, the speed control is actually attached to this black part. Forgot about that. All right, so we got the motor out. The motor's dirty. We're going to actually have to take that apart and put that in the dishwasher as well. Now onto the motor. This is the part where, first of all, you should always bring the Miele to your authorized dealer. Don't try this at home. But if for some reason you're going to ignore that warning, definitely don't do what I'm about to do. Now you just saw me hit that with a hammer a few times, and I'm going to remove the fan. There are a few spots for doing this. And now I've got the fan casing and the fan removed. I don't see any balancing marks or anything there. They made it perfect, so I don't need to worry about that. So now we're just going to take the appropriate socket. And if I had to guess, 12. Oh. Maybe it's 14. 13 millimeter socket. I knew it was one of the oddball ones I don't use a lot. In order to hold it in place, we're going to use a strap wrench. You can also use a rag. It's really easy to cut yourself on this. So yeah, keep that in mind when doing. It's not reverse thread on this one. Let's try it the other way. Yeah, it is not reverse thread. I'm wrong about that. So once that's done, we'll pull that off. We'll pull that. Set that in our magical mystery part bin. The aluminum spacer. And now it's time to remove our Torx. And you'll know these from the rest when you see them. And pop. Just kind of wiggle it. It'll eventually come loose. There's also, you can also do this, but you have to be careful. This isn't exactly plastic. It's like a glass-filled resin. So yeah, this one does not want to come loose. This one is nice and tight. So I'm gonna just hold it and give it a little love tap. There we go. That's what's going in the dishwasher. You can actually put everything in the dishwasher and grease the bearings. I don't see that necessary with this particular one because it's not old enough, it's not dirty enough. But I do like to wash this stuff right here. I find that this definitely needs a trip in the dishwasher. So that's how we break that down. We'll set this in our pile to blow off, our pile to hand wash, Now, somebody called me ridiculous for putting a vacuum in a dishwasher the other day. It is something I do on a regular basis. This is not in my kitchen. This dishwasher is specifically for washing parts. But if you do need to do it in your kitchen, that's really not a big issue. You just run it once or twice on a quick cycle and it'll clean itself out. I'm also using phosphated detergent, also known as fry boil out. So that's something I'd use as well. And we'll just put this on there, hit the setting, let it do its thing on Power Scrub Plus. Well, the dishwasher's done its thing, so let's open her up. Ooh, nice and toasty. You can see one of the stickers melted off. You can also see there's like a coating on here. This is why I got this dishwasher for free. But all this will polish off literally as soon as I wipe Windex or something, and then it will be shiny. But clean and sanitized just like we wanted. Well, it's a new day, and everything is washed and cleaned and sanitized. I'm going to take some of these pieces that we're not going to use till later and put them out of the way. Boxes are... Oh, what the heck, we'll leave this in. So I've just opened it up. I see the grease is in there, but it's a little bit on the dry side for my liking. So what we're going to do is kind of a no-no, but I've got two greases that are Teflon based, so they're compatible to use together, or a grease and an oil. So basically just going to put a couple of drops in here to moisturize the previous grease, but you don't want to do it enough that it changes the viscosity of the grease a lot. You just don't, that's bad. So next, I'm just going to take a little bit of this Teflon bicycle grease I have, and we're just going to throw it in there. Again, you're not doing very much. A little dab will do you. Now, one thing that's different about this motor is that the bearing, unlike previous motors that I've taken apart with Miele, is actually glued in, or maybe I've just never noticed that they are always glued in. If you have experience doing motor bearings, please comment below with Miele, because I'm curious if that's a me thing or not. I'd probably just ask a couple of my friends, but where would the audience interaction be then? All right, so that's all the grease I'm going to put in there. See that just all snaps up in there very nicely. Clean off the excess. Nobody wants excess grease. Make sure that's nice and in there. I feel like the motor is not quite settled from when I took it apart. So I'm going to do a big no-no, and we're going to hit the motor a couple times just to make sure it is settled. And we're going to use a piece of wood here as our anvil. So microphone warning, headphone warning. Yeah, that seems to have settled things. So again, knowing when to hit things, pretty important. Show a little bit of that glue on there so you can see that in there. That right there. There's enough residue on that in the outer bearing that I think that will reseat itself just fine. Let's put this on. You want to line that doohickey up with that. Put this all in its place. Yeah, I don't feel any play in there. That all looks good. And again, around the edges, just to settle it, I'm going to give it a couple love taps. That feels in there nice and good. So now, let's pull the screws out. Yeah, out of that whole mess, I know which screws are which, don't I? Let's put that back. Clean that screwdriver off first. Grab my 20. And this looks like it's plastic, but it's really a resin, like a resin-filled, glass-filled, maybe ceramic-filled even plastic. It's fairly heat-resistant. It doesn't melt easy. It's really weird stuff, whatever Domo originally made these motors out of for Miele. I know it says Miele on it, but it's a Domo design. And there's nothing wrong with that. Make sure everything's torqued. This particular part I'm going to do by hand, just to make sure everything is torqued. So we don't want any nasty sounds when we start up. Ooh, that feels good. I'm going to put this on there. Now, something I like to do, you don't have to do it, you can take grease or oil. A little bit of grease on those threads makes taking this apart and putting it back on again much easier for the next person and keeps it from corroding. Now, my camera microphone died during this section, so I'm just recording this on my desktop. So let's put the fan on. I gave it one quick blowout with compressed air. You're probably glad I didn't have the mic on for that. I like to make sure everything's just lined up just perfect the way it was on there. Again, this helps with balancing. After I put the washer on, it's time for the 13mm socket to go on there. And of course, when doing the final torquing, I'm going to use the strap wrench again. Again, please be careful if you do try this at home. This fan is razor sharp and will slice you right open, so keep that in mind. And we're not actually doing a whole lot of torque on there. You can see I'm just using the 2-finger method just to put enough torque on there so it's secure. So pull the wrench off, throw that to the side. The next piece that's going to need to go on, and you can see I'm testing, just making sure nothing is rubbing, is the fan shroud. Now you want to make sure you push from the sides, not from the center. That's really important. And you see I'm just going to inch it on with some good old elbow grease. I would avoid hitting it with a mallet or anything like that. They have a tendency to bend real easily. So again, just snapping it on right there. And I'm going to check the head spacing. There's some little marks as I'm pointing out right here. So head spacing looks good. This motor is good to go. So again, thank you Patreon supporters for your support and continuing to watch some of our newer content.